Welcome to ritzyventurez. Right now I am in Bangalore airport. From Bangalore I am taking a flight to Mumbai. Mumbai taking a flight to Nairobi.
My dear viewers, welcome to episode 1 of my Kenya series. During Christmas, I was in Kenya with my family. Hop on to this Land Cruiser along with me and let's go on a safari to explore the Masai Mara National Reserve and Kenya. This episode is your ultimate guide towards your dream Kenya vacation. In this episode, I have covered about flights, ETA or electronic travel authorization, yellow fever vaccination certificate. Please note that both ETA and yellow fever vaccination certificates are an absolute must for your travel to Kenya. I have also covered about SIM, currency, accommodation, food, the best time to travel to Kenya, and also shared a 5-day as well as a 7-day itinerary for Kenya. I have also shared details of the safari package that I have taken from a Kenya based tour operator and have addressed a few crucial questions. Is Kenya safe to travel? Can you do Kenya on your own? And how you can do Kenya on a budget? And at the very end, I have shared the cost details of the entire trip. So do watch till the very end and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's begin with the location of Kenya. As you know, Kenya is a country in the continent of Africa. It is surrounded by the countries of Somalia, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Uganda, and Tanzania. I will take you to Kenya-Tanzania border in subsequent episodes of my Kenya series. Nairobi is the capital of Kenya and also its largest city. Let's talk about the languages spoken in Kenya. Both Swahili and English are taught in the schools of Kenya. So be it the Maasai tribes, employees at restaurant, cab drivers, tourist guides, they all speak English quite fluently. So language is not going to be a barrier during your trip to Kenya. And if you are lucky, you will hear a few Hindi words that the Kenyans have picked up from the Indian tourists.
ठीक है
ठीक है
अच्छा
अच्छा है and namaste.
नमस्ते शुक्रिया
Now let's discuss about the main port of entry and your flight options. While there are several domestic airports in Kenya, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport in Nairobi is the main port of entry. Now coming to flights, so to Nairobi you would get direct flights only from the city of Mumbai and Delhi, and the cost of your return airfare from these two cities would range anywhere between 25,000 to 35,000 depending on which airlines you choose. While from Delhi you get a direct flight from Air India, from Mumbai you would get direct flight from Kenya Airways as well as Indigo. We chose to fly by Indigo as during our time of booking it was showing the cheapest fare. We took an Indigo flight from Bangalore to Mumbai and then took another flight from Mumbai to Nairobi. For a 5-hour long flight from Mumbai to Nairobi, I have heard other passengers complaining about the seat being not too comfortable. So if you are someone for whom comfortable seat is a priority, then please go for another airline. Now let's talk about when is the best time to travel to Kenya. The best time to travel to Kenya is between July to October when it is a time for the Great Migration. The Great Migration is one of the natural wonders of the world. During the Great Migration, millions of wildebeest, zebras and other animals move in between Serengeti in Tanzania and Masai Mara in Kenya. They move in search of food and water. A document that is mandatory for your Kenya travel is your yellow fever vaccination certificate. Please click on the link above to find out how I got my yellow fever vaccination done in Bangalore. Please note that you need to get this vaccination done at least 10 days prior to your trip. Please contact a nearby public hospital in your city to find out how you can get your yellow fever vaccination done. We also got our oral polio vaccination done as Indigo Airlines by which we flew had asked for both. Please check with your airlines regarding the latest guidelines about the same. We were asked to show our yellow fever vaccination certificates during our return journey. Another very important document for your Kenya travel is ETA or Electronic Travel Authorization. Even if Kenya is visa free, you need to get your ETA done prior to your travel. On the screen is the official website for applying for ETA. You can apply for it 3 months prior to your travel. You can apply for it as an individual or as a group. The ETA is usually mailed to you within 72 hours of your application. The cost of the ETA after service charge is around $35. I will make a detailed video on ETA later on. The ETA will be checked by the immigration both ways in India as well as Kenya. Now let's discuss the itinerary that I followed. You can follow the same itinerary if your area of interest is the same. After an early morning landing at Nairobi airport, we checked in our Airbnb apartment which we had booked from the previous night. I'll give you a tour of the apartment in the next episode. We started exploring Nairobi by first visiting the Giraffe Center. After that, we went to visit National Nairobi Museum. We also visited the snake park. If you have an extra day at Nairobi, do visit Nairobi National Park. It takes one full day, and also visit Kazuri Beats Factory. After spending a day exploring Nairobi, we proceeded towards the Masai Mara National Reserve. En route, we stopped by at the Great Rift Valley. Our sole purpose behind visiting Kenya was to see Masai Mara. So we did 3 days of game drive in Masai Mara. By game drive, we mean the safaris. Most tourists do around 2 days of game drive, but I strongly recommend that you do at least 3 days of game drive so that you can spot all the big five. By big five, I mean lion, leopard, African buffalo, elephant, and rhino. The term big five has been coined by hunters back in the day as these 5 animals were difficult to hunt on foot. Some of you could be wondering if we were lucky to see the big five. Yes, we saw the big five. While at Mara, we saw lions, leopards, elephants, and buffaloes. At Lake Nakuru National Park, we saw the rhinos. On the third day of Mara, we went to a Maasai village to see their traditional way of life. I will tell you more about the Maasai way of life in subsequent episodes. After 3 nights at Mara, we spent 1 night at Lake Nakuru where we went for the game drive at Lake Nakuru National Park along with boating on Lake Naivasha and Crescent Island tour. Lake Nakuru National Park is a paradise for birds. After the game drive at Lake Nakuru National Park, we returned to Nairobi by evening, and the very next day was a return flight. On the screen, you can see the itinerary that I followed for Kenya. If your focus is on Masai Mara, you can follow the same itinerary. Now let me address an important question. Can you do Kenya on your own, or do you have to necessarily go through a tour operator? Many of you might be having Kenya on your bucket list, but one of the key reasons for postponing the trip is the trip cost is beyond your budget. For many of my generation, the fascinating wildlife of Africa has not been unveiled by National Geography but by literary works. One such literary masterpiece that has ignited our interest in Africa's wildlife is Bibhuti Bhushan Bandyopadhyay's The Mountain of the Moon or Chader Pahar. Gripping adventure story of a boy from Bengal called Shankar who comes all the way to Africa. The movie by the same name, Chader Pahar, is equally amazing. The protagonist's role has been played by the popular actor Dev. Now, coming to the question, can you do Kenya on your own? Yes, you can do a part of the Kenya trip on your own and save a substantial amount. Let me share how I have done a part of the Kenya trip on my own. What I managed on my own was air tickets, ETA, and Nairobi part of the trip, whether it was the Airbnb or going around Nairobi using Uber. I substantially managed to reduce the cost of our trip by taking the safari package from Kenya-based Axis Africa Safaris. Please note that this is not a sponsored video. The package included 3 nights at Masai Mara, 1 night at Lake Nakuru, and game drive on all the 4 days. It also included food. We highly appreciated the accommodation that Axis Africa Safari had provided us along with the food, and a special shout out to our guide Moses, who exactly knew where to take the Land Cruiser to show us the best of wildlife in Kenya. I will provide the contact details of Axis Africa Safari in the description box. Now let's discuss the currency in Kenya. The currency in Kenya is Kenya shilling. 1 INR is equivalent to 1.5 Kenya shilling and 1 USD is equivalent to 130 Kenya shilling. From India, you need to carry dollars which you can convert into Kenya shilling while in Kenya, or you can use your card to withdraw Kenya shilling while in Kenya. You would need Kenya shilling for payment in shops, restaurants, as well as some entrance fees. As for me, I used a combination of my traveler's card, Kenya shilling, as well as dollars. Please withdraw cash while you are in Nairobi, as you won't get a cash withdrawal facility while you are in Masai Mara. Let's talk about the SIM options available in Kenya. The providers are Airtel, Safaricom, Telcom, and Fiber. Since I had heard that the coverage of Safaricom is quite good throughout Kenya, I opted for a data package from Safaricom. You can choose one that suits your data requirement. Talking about food, the good news is that there is no dearth of restaurants in Kenya serving Indian food. Sarovar Woodland at Lake Nakuru even had an Indian food festival going on while we were there. For those looking for continental food, yes, you will get them plenty in Kenya. You'll also get ugali, which is a staple food in Central and Eastern African countries.
Ugali. Okay, you have this with the spinach dish or chicken.
During the game drive, you are given your lunches in this kind of boxes from your hotel. It is a mix of veg and non-veg food unless you specify otherwise. And yes, you have your lunches in the open. Kenya is a paradise for non-vegetarians where you get various kind of exotic meats. What you are seeing right now is a restaurant called Carnivore in Nairobi. I'll give you a tour of this restaurant in the next episode. Here you can see various types of exotic meats getting cooked in front of you. Now let's discuss another salient point, how you can do Kenya on a budget. Follow the suggestions I am giving you and you can do Kenya on a budget. Tip number 1 is to visit Kenya during non-peak season. While from July to October, when it is a time for the Great Migration, is the best time to visit Kenya. That is also the time when everything is super expensive in Kenya. For instance, the entrance tickets to Masai Mara National Reserve is $200 per person per day during the Great Migration, and this is so till end of December. This entrance ticket is slashed to $100 per person per day from Jan onwards. So the best time to do Kenya on a budget is to visit between Jan to June. Tip number two is to stay in camps outside of Mara. These camps are safe and are patrolled by Maasai throughout the night. Tip number three is to go for group safari as the cost of the vehicle would be shared by everyone. Individual safari would cause a dent in your budget. Tip number four is to deal directly with tour companies providing safari vehicle along with the guide. That way you can rule out the margin of the third party and get your safari package on a more affordable rate. While taking a package either through a tour operator or a hotel is recommended for Mara, that need not be the case for other cities of Kenya. For instance, Nairobi you can explore on your own with the help of Uber. This will help you substantially reduce your trip cost. An additional tip is to negotiate hard, whether it is a safari package, entrance to Masai Mara village, the local products that you buy, negotiate hard to get the best deal. From the suggestions I have given you, first let me share what I could not follow. We had to travel during peak season, which is Christmas time, as we had to match our travel with children's school holidays. Also, we did not opt for very budget accommodation as we wanted the children to have a comfortable stay. At Masai Mara, our package included stay at Jambo Mara, which is an amazing property inside the Masai Mara. Our rooms had glass windows through which we could see animals scurrying around. Even Sarova Woodland at Lake Nakuru, where we stayed for one night, is a swanky property. But the best part about our stay was that night an Indian food festival was going on. Digging into Indian food while swaying to Bollywood music miles away from India was such an enriching experience. Now, regarding the suggestions that I could follow, we went with a Kenya based tour operator after much research and we opted for a group safari. Additionally, we managed the Nairobi part of the trip on our own. Now, let me answer a crucial question that many of my friends have asked. Is Kenya safe for travel? So let me answer this question as honestly as I can. When you are inside Masai Mara National Reserve or any other national park, your interaction to the outside world is limited. That way it is safe. However, when you are in Nairobi or any other cities in Kenya, follow these safety instructions. Don't walk around in crowded areas to avoid getting mugged. Always keep an eye on your belongings and don't walk around late in the night. Avoid local cabs, book an Uber or take the help of your hotel or apartment to book a cab for you. While in Nairobi, choose your area of stay and accommodation carefully. Westland is considered one of the safe areas to stay. If you are staying in an apartment, see to it that it comes with robust security system. Saukimau in Machakos County is where we stayed in Nairobi. Our Airbnb apartment was within a gated community and came with proper surveillance system and access card. I will leave contact details of the apartment in the description box. Be careful from where you withdraw your money in Kenya. Withdraw your money from ATMs or banks and large malls only. Another important precaution that you can take is to get in touch with your bank before your travel to find out if there is any restriction regarding your card usage in Kenya. And do keep the receipts of all the transactions done in Kenya with you for some time. And lastly, avoid certain neighborhoods. These neighborhoods include Kaibera, which is East Africa's largest slum, along with downtown Nairobi and the infamous River Road. Please don't get so bogged down by the suggestions I have given you. Just exercise some precaution during your travel and enjoy the wildlife of Kenya. Let me share the cost of the trip, an important determining factor regarding the feasibility of any trip. So our per person cost came to around 1,55,000, and on the screen you can see the cost breakup of the trip for four of us. As you can see, the maximum chunk of the cost was towards the safari package. Please note that the safari package depends as per the season and the accommodation that you offer. The second most important part of our trip was our flight cost. It was on the higher side as we flew from Bangalore to Mumbai and then from Mumbai to Nairobi. If you are taking a direct flight, say from Delhi or Mumbai, the cost of the flight would be on the lower side. Our food cost was on the lower side as food was part of the package and we only had to pay for our food in Nairobi. The entrance tickets that I have separately mentioned include boating on Lake Naivasha, Crescent Island Walk, entrance to Maasai Village as well as National Nairobi Museum and the Giraffe Center. These tickets weren't a part of the package and we paid them from our pockets. I have included all aspects of the trip cost in the total cost. The cost also includes travel insurance, which I highly recommend for international travel. The trip cost also includes expenses made towards ETA, yellow fever vaccination, Nairobi stay, as well as taxi to go around Nairobi. The only thing I have excluded from the trip cost is the tip that we gave to our guide. Axis Africa Safaris had given us some guidelines regarding tip to be given to the guide, which is per person per day. We have tried our best to conform to it. Since our guide was sincere in his work, we gladly tipped him. There is no hard and fast rule regarding it, but I would suggest that you check with your tour operator regarding the same before your travel. Our trip cost could appear to be on the higher side for some of you, but please do know that we were traveling during Christmas when the Masai Mara entrance fee itself is $200 per person per day. If you are a budget traveler, you can do a 5-day Kenya trip within a budget of 90,000. Let me reiterate some of the points that I mentioned earlier. Choose a Kenya-based tour operator. Opt for group safaris. Go during non-peak season. And if you stay in camps, the cost could be reduced further. On the screen, I have given the cost breakup for a 5-day Kenya trip. I have given everything on the higher side so that you feel good if you end up saving some penny. This is a 5-day itinerary that budget travelers can follow. On day 1, explore Nairobi. On day 2, move to Masai Mara. For 2 consecutive days, you do game drive at Masai Mara. Then on day 4, move to Lake Naivasha where you do boating on Lake Naivasha. You can skip Crescent Island if you are on a tight budget. Then on day 5, visit Lake Nakuru National Park and do the game drive there and return to Nairobi by evening, and the very next day you can take your return flight back to India. And that's the end of episode 1 of my Kenya series. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and do write to me if you have any query related to the episode. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.